Greetings and welcome back to the channel. Today we will be doing something a bit different. I'm going to be ranking all of the Soulsborne games from worst to best. This will be an in-depth analysis where I'll explain why each game holds its position in the ranking. To begin with, we have Dark Souls 2, widely regarded as the black sheep of the series. Now, let me clarify, I'm not claiming that Dark Souls 2 is a poor game. It certainly isn't. It has a lot to offer, but it is undeniably the weakest installment when considering the entire franchise. The game tried to innovate in a number of ways. It introduced some novel mechanics, such as the adaptability stat and a revamped magic system. The world feels expansive, and there is an impressive amount of variety in its areas, making the experience feel larger than its predecessors. However, the level design in Dark Souls too often leaves much to be desired. Rather than the intricate, interconnected world we're accustomed to, the game presents a series of disparate locations, which, while ambitious, ultimately feel disconnected. Moreover, let's address the hitboxes. For a game that prides itself on precision and difficulty, the hitboxes were, frankly, a bit of a letdown. Combat doesn't always feel as tight as it should, which can be frustrating when you're trying to master the game's mechanics. Despite its shortcomings, I have a deep appreciation for Dark Souls 2. It introduced some interesting concepts and boasts several memorable bosses. It also has a devoted fanbase that has grown over time. However, when placed in direct comparison with the other entries in the series, it falls short. Next, we move on to Demon's Souls, the title that began it all. Without this game, we wouldn't have the Soulsborne series as we know it today. For that alone, it deserves a great deal of respect. The atmosphere in Demon's Souls is absolutely exceptional. The world of Boletaria is eerie and haunting, and it's brimming with lore. It has that classic feeling of isolation in a dark, mysterious world, which is a hallmark of the series. However, while Demon's Souls was groundbreaking upon its release in 2009, it does feel somewhat dated by modern standards. The combat, while solid, lacks the depth and fluidity that later entries, such as Dark Souls or Bloodborne, refined. Additionally, there is less room for customization, both in character builds and world design. The world itself is more segmented compared to the more interconnected levels we see in later titles. Another point worth mentioning is the story. While the cryptic narrative is a characteristic that fans appreciate, it doesn't quite have the same depth or complexity as the stories told in later entries, particularly Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Nevertheless, Demon's Souls remains a revolutionary title and deserves high praise for laying the foundation of what would become an iconic series. Now, we enter the realm of the more refined entries, starting with Dark Souls 3. This game arrived during a time when fans were eagerly anticipating the conclusion to the series, and it delivered on many fronts. The combat is tight and responsive, arguably the best in the entire franchise, and the graphics are absolutely stunning, especially for a Souls game. However, there is one key drawback: Dark Souls 3 doesn't take as many risks as some of the earlier titles. It plays it relatively safe, offering what fans wanted without pushing the boundaries as much as other entries in the series. The developers were clearly aiming to wrap up the franchise with a sense of finality, and while that's admirable, it means that Dark Souls 3 doesn't feel as innovative or groundbreaking as its predecessors. That being said, Dark Souls 3 is still an incredible game. The level design is top tier, with Lothric and its surrounding areas being among the most beautifully crafted worlds in the series. The bosses are also some of the most memorable in the franchise. Yet, in comparison to the trailblazing innovations of Bloodborne and the sheer scale of Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3 feels a bit familiar and lacks the same level of ambition. If you're a fan of Dark Souls, you will undoubtedly love this title. But in the broader context of the series, it's just not as impactful as some of the others. At number 4, we have Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, an interesting and slightly unconventional choice. This is not your typical Soulsborne game. There is no traditional RPG leveling, no complex character builds, and the game focuses far more on action and precision. Yet, I believe Sekiro deserves this high placement. The game completely revolutionized the FromSoftware formula by shifting the focus from RPG elements to highly skill-based combat. Sekiro is all about mastering your swordplay, executing perfect parries, and exploiting your enemies' weaknesses with pinpoint precision. The combat system is arguably the most satisfying and challenging in the entire franchise. Every encounter is a test of your reflexes, strategy, and ability to adapt. However, the difficulty in Sekiro is unique. It is not about grinding for stats or learning intricate builds. Instead, it demands that players become experts in the game's combat mechanics. This can be exhilarating for players who enjoy a challenge, but the lack of RPG elements might not resonate with fans who appreciated the customization options in other Soulsborne games. Despite this, Sekiro is a masterclass in design. The world is visually stunning, the story is engaging, and the combat feels incredibly rewarding. While Sekiro is a departure from the series' traditional formula, it stands as an outstanding title in its own right. At number 3, we find Dark Souls 1, the game that started it all and shaped modern action RPGs. The level design in Dark Souls 1 is legendary. The interconnected world of Lordran remains one of the greatest achievements in video game design. The way every area ties together in a seamless, interconnected manner is truly remarkable. However, as groundbreaking as Dark Souls 1 was, it does show its age in some respects. The combat feels somewhat slower compared to the fluidity of Dark Souls 3 or the speed of Bloodborne. The mechanics can also feel a bit clunky at times, and certain areas like Blighttown can be frustrating. Nevertheless, Dark Souls 1 remains one of the finest games ever made. The sense of exploration and discovery in Lordran is unparalleled, and the atmosphere is dripping with mystery and tension. The bosses are iconic, and the way the story is told through environmental cues and cryptic dialogue is second to none. While it may not be as polished as later entries, Dark Souls 1 is a masterpiece that laid the foundation for the entire series. Coming in at number 2, we have Bloodborne, a personal favorite of mine and widely regarded as one of the best gaming experiences available on the PlayStation 4. From the moment you step into the streets of Hirnam, you are greeted with a world that is as haunting as it is beautiful. The gothic horror setting is unmatched, and the combat system is fast-paced, aggressive, and incredibly satisfying. Bloodborne takes the best elements of Dark Souls and turns the speed and aggression up to 11. The combat system is all about offensive action. There is no room for passivity. You need to be constantly moving, dodging, and attacking to survive. This creates a highly dynamic and engaging combat experience that is unlike anything else in the series. The atmosphere in Bloodborne is unparalleled. The world of Harnam is rich with eerie details, and the cosmic horror themes create a sense of madness and dread that is truly unique. The story is complex, full of hidden lore, and full of mysteries to uncover. So why isn't it number 1? While Bloodborne is a masterpiece, it is just slightly edged out by the game that comes in at number 1, which we'll discuss next. And finally, at number 1, we have Elden Ring. This is, without a doubt, FromSoftware's magnum opus. Elden Ring takes everything that FromSoftware has perfected over the years and brings it to a whole new level. The massive open world exploration, the vast array of builds, and the unprecedented freedom to explore and engage with the world make Elden Ring the ultimate evolution of the Soulsborne formula. The world of the lands between is vast, filled with secrets, bosses, and lore that will keep players engaged for hundreds of hours. The sense of exploration is unparalleled, and every corner of the world holds something new to discover. The combat is fluid and satisfying, offering an extensive range of playstyles that cater to every type of player. The boss fights are absolutely epic, and the level of challenge is quintessential from software. In short, Elden Ring is the complete package. It blends the best elements of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro into an open-world adventure that sets a new standard for the genre. It's the game that fans have been waiting for, and it delivers in every possible way. So there you have it, my ranking of all the Soulsborne games from worst to best. What do you think? Do you agree with my list, or do you have your own rankings? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.